welcome to the lemoncast. I have a guest with me. He is under 10 hours. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, my YouTube channel. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I've never been on a podcast before as a guest, so this is a really cool experience. My YouTube channel is my main thing. Under 10 hours. I just passed 100 subscribers, so I got my own URL. So it's just youtube.com/under 10 hours, and it's pretty much the same thing for Twitter. But that's pretty much it.
All right, all right. Now then, has fuck, I can't talk. I'm sorry.
It's
Has
all
there
good.
has there any been good retro games you've been playing?
So I kind of try to stick between, I guess, anywhere. I've kind of covered everything from N64 through present day on my channel, but I try to stick to around the early to mid 2000s. So I've been playing some. I always am playing some Jet Set Radio, Jet Set Radio
Of
Future
course.
on Xbox. That's kind of like what I'm known for right now.
Actually, though, wait a minute. I actually saw your video like around Christmas time or whatever, right?
Mhm.
It actually made me think about the Xbox. Like, I remember that thing, and actually, your video kind of made me go get an original Xbox.
Really? Whoa, that's that's some really like high praise. I don't know how safe it is for me to be making people buy things with videos. But yeah, so I got to choose pretty much in fourth grade which console I was going to get, and Jet Set Radio was the game that made me just lock in my answer of Xbox. I didn't even look at PS2 or GameCube. It was the Xbox, and I guess I've never looked back, and it really worked out because I mean here I am. I have a YouTube channel because of Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future, I should say. I call the first one Jet Grind Radio because that's what I knew it as. But yeah, so I've always had an Xbox, and I've always been kind of into that era of games because I mean, when your first game on that system is something as crazy as Jet Set Radio Future, it kind of opens you up to so many different games because that game is totally off the walls.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's kind of like what got me into really liking graffiti and skating and extreme sports almost as much as Tony Hawk, even though Tony Hawk is, and I use this loosely, grounded in reality
Yeah,
because it's really not.
it's not.
No, it's not. But like when you're roller skating around Tokyo and just jumping from platform to platform and getting hit by buses, it's just such a crazy experience. And I don't know. I hope we kind of get to more of a crazier time in games like that coming up. But
Hell yeah.
it was such a great time for games. Like to me, the wildest era of games was after the N64, after PS1, once we got into PS2 and Xbox. Like that's my favorite era. So, and obviously, like I had an N64 growing up. That's kind of what started it. My friend down the street had one, and so we were always playing Mario 64, of course. But yeah, like the Xbox is pretty much that's like my baby. I still have my original one. It has come with me on many trips, and I used to have like a portable screen for it, and like I used to haul it around and play it in the car like you would a Switch or a Vita or a PSP. Just prop it up on my lap. Like it was crazy. I'm surprised none of my discs are destroyed because of the movement. But yeah, the Xbox is where it's at for me. N64. I'm actually wearing an N64 shirt right now.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks Target. 9.99 at Target.
Yeah, like when I started like gaming back in the day, it was mainly about the GameCube, but every family member had this or that. I could go over to one house to play the Xbox. I could go over to one house to play the PS2. I feel like it had a range of all the different systems at the time.
Oh yeah, totally. I had a friend with each of the systems at some point or another. Like one of my best friends had a GameCube, and we'd always play Smash, obviously Melee, and we'd also play like the weirder Mario sports games like Mario Strikers and what was it, Mario Superstar Baseball. Like that was such a cool console that I'm glad more people are coming around on it. And then of
Yeah.
course the PS2 is just I actually just picked up a PS2 because I want to get more into that library too because it's such a good system and everybody knows it's a good system and I completely missed out on it.
Yeah, like when it came to the PS2, that's actually the first console I got when I actually got into retro gaming though.
Hmm.
Because you just got to remember, 2004, San Andreas just came out.
Oh,
Everybody was just
classic.
so hype about it. And plus, just look at the all the good libraries. You got the Tony Hawk series, Grand Theft Auto. Like, there's so many good games for the PS2.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, PS2 has all the good Need for Speed games. The overall the PS2 is just a great system.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to finally have one and really just dive into it. Um, a lot of a lot of games I've played are pretty much third party, so I guess I'm not really super tied into any system on that front, but I'm really looking forward to getting into some more exclusives. Like I've never played any of the Kingdom Hearts games, and I feel like now that 3 finally came out, it's kind of a travesty I've never played any of them.
Yeah. Actually, I remember Kingdom Hearts back in the day. I never played it, but I always just saw the commercials.
Yeah, I had a friend who was really into it, and I went to his house, and he just made me watch him play it. He never gave me a turn. He was just like, "I'm gonna play Kingdom Hearts, and you're gonna watch, and you're gonna see why it's awesome." And I was like, "Cool, but I'd like to play."
Yeah.
So maybe subconsciously that's why I never got around to playing it because I'm still mad that he wouldn't let me play.
Yeah, man. I mean, like this is the kind of like the one thing I miss about gaming back in the day. It's just like you always have to share controllers with everybody. You would always have to figure out a way to share it. Like
Hmm.
that, like back in my day when it came to like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. It's just like, okay, you died, it's my turn. I die, it's your turn. And I don't know, man. Like it might have been difficult sometimes, but I just miss that part of gaming sometimes.
I do too. I especially miss couch co-op. Um, like there were so many good split screen games, obviously, like you were saying, like Grand Theft Auto, some of my fondest memories are passing off the controller when you die because you have a wanted level that's 6 stars and there's no escape from that. And it's just like sitting on your couch playing Smash and GoldenEye is such a rare thing these days. Like for the longest time, Call of Duty had split screen, and it was the only split screen game anybody had, and now they don't even do it anymore. So I miss the trading off of controllers. I miss split screen and couch co-op, and like I have friends in real life. I want to play a game with them. I don't want to have to send them home so we can play a game together, you know?
Yeah. And on that though, there's actually two things I actually want to talk about. Like I know everybody just hypes up GoldenEye, and that's the thing. Like I never played it, but Nightfire was my shit back in the day. Like
It's yeah.
whenever I had family over, we would always grab the GameCube controllers and just kill each other. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
I know people love GoldenEye, but Nightfire was my shit.
Oh, I'm in the party of Nightfire is better than GoldenEye. I know that puts me in a very like I know people really don't like when I say that, but you can you can put Nightfire in and it's still pretty close to how it works today, whereas GoldenEye is just it's so hard to use with one analog stick, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always down for a round of Nightfire. My sister and I will occasionally play it still, and it's still just as much fun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like if people took away I feel like if, shit, I can't talk. If people took away the nostalgia goggles, like, you could still physically play GoldenEye today. That's just what I did whenever I started feeling nostalgic about it. I just felt like, you know what, fuck it. Let me buy it and let me see how it plays today.
Mhm.
But of course, like I never played GoldenEye back in the day, so I can't really talk on it. But I just feel like with one joystick, I don't think that's gonna work out.
Yeah, so when I made the Nightfire video for my channel, I actually did play about half of GoldenEye, because I wasn't allowed to have it as a kid. It was rated T for teen, and that was just too too bad for my house. So I
Oh,
yeah.
actually, I gotta tell you, I gotta tell a story about that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I played through half of GoldenEye, and I was pretty surprised how good the auto targeting is. But I did play split screen with a friend too, and it was just almost unplayable. It was because it's so unpredictable that aiming is just such a chore because you have to stop and then you have to manually aim down the sights. I appreciate the game for what it is, and it definitely pioneered first person shooters in gaming, and like that is a super amazing thing that it could do. But if you say that it's still an amazing game in 2020, you're just kind of not actually playing it, you know?
Yeah,
But yeah, it I appreciate it. It's just we need to look at it a little bit more critically because it's not the best
exactly.
shooter anymore, just in my humble opinion. But yeah, you said you had a story about it?
Yeah, so like I remember how you told me about you can play like rated T for teen games. Like back in the day, like it didn't really matter, but when San Andreas dropped, I was just like, let me get that game, let me get that game. I was able to play Grand Theft Auto 3 and San Andreas, but San Andreas, no. Like, I know when that game dropped, I just wanted it. But of course, I actually somehow got the game from a family member's house, and I got home from school, put it in the PlayStation 2, and yeah, it obviously, family members walked in, and I was in big fucking trouble. But
I mean that's such it to me. The series is at an all-time high with San Andreas, and I feel like because of the whole hot coffee controversy, it gets such a bad name. But oh my God, like I can play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas to this day, and it is such a blast. But when I was a kid, something similar was happening. My uncle had a PS2, and he'd let us play Vice City. He'd let us play Grand Theft Auto 3, like just like you. But when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out and all my friends got it and they were talking about it, I went to his house and he was like, "Oh no, you can't play that one."
right, yeah, yeah, I can relate to the same thing.
Yeah, it's like it's weird how something gets blown so out of proportion. Like the hot coffee thing wasn't even accessible in the game. It had to be re-added through hacking, but somehow people like the news went nuts over it and then parents were like, "Nope, can't play that one."
Yeah.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah, and it's weird to say, but I kind of like miss stuff like that, like shit that was only for adults. Like you remember when you remember Adult Swim in the 2000s? Like
Oh yeah.
nobody wanted kids to watch that shit, but of course I watched it. Everybody else watched it, and of course we would talk about it at school and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it too when something comes around and it gets so much publicity for being too dangerous for kids, it makes kids want to watch it more, even if they wouldn't have wanted to watch it otherwise, you know? Like as soon as you're told you can't do something, you want to do it more than ever. Or at least
Yeah,
that's how I am. Like that's like my thing. When somebody tells me that I shouldn't do something, I want to do it twice as badly.
yeah, man. It's just like I don't know. It's just like whenever Cartoon Network would go off, they'd be like, no, turn to something else. And then as soon as they would walk out, just turn it straight to Adult Swim. Like, and I feel like you have a point though. Like, it's just like I wouldn't have wanted to watch Adult Swim in the first place, but now that you told me I shouldn't watch it or I can't watch it, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's like I mean, I think that's where the whole any publicity is good publicity thing, because I don't think Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was hurt at all by the bad publicity. If anything, it got even more sales because of it. Because then once hot coffee came out, people rushed to stores to get their copy because it was being taken off of shelves. So they probably sold more copies because of it, and it was already a good game, but I feel like that whole controversy made it blow up even more.
Yeah. And well, I feel like we should probably stick to the main topic with N64. So like,
Yeah,
have
sure.
you have you been playing any good N64 games?
So I'm always trying to find some obscure N64 games because that system, like, I love mine, but it's gotten such kind of a bad reputation for not having many games. So I try to play some of the weirdest stuff. Have you ever heard of Rocket Robot on Wheels? Which actually,
No.
so speaking of Grand Theft Auto, before Rockstar was a thing, DMA, I think it was, they used to make all of these other games, and they made this collect-a-thon third-person game called Rocket Robot on Wheels, where you pay where you play as a robot, and it's basically kind of like a Banjo-Kazooie clone. It's really cool. It's so difficult. Like I was playing, my girlfriend was like, "What is this game that you put on my Raspberry Pi?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Rocket Robot on Wheels. It's really fun. It's also really painfully hard." So I put that on there, and we were both playing, and she was just like, "I can't play this. I'll watch you play it, but it is so difficult because it's really fun. It's totally worth playing. It's just not fair. You don't have any defense against anything." So that's a good one. Beetle Adventure Racing is just one of the strangest
Actually,
games.
yeah, I actually saw that video. Actually going to pick up some N64 games. I think either Friday or Saturday. I'm actually thinking about picking that up. Like,
It's so don't pay too much for it. I will say it's a good game if you can get it for the right price. Um, because it's just such a strange concept for a game, and it's pretty competent, and the multiplayer is surprisingly good. One of the things people said in the comments of my video was, "How could you not play the multiplayer?" And I completely forgot because I never played it when I was younger. But yeah, so if you see it out in the wild for like under 20 bucks, it's really cool because it's basically Mario Kart with just Volkswagens, which is the most end of the 90s thing ever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
man.
But what games are on your list to pick up?
Right now, I would say I would say the basics right now. Like, I don't know, Mario Kart 64, Banjo. Well, I don't really need Banjo Kazooie, but just Mario Kart 64, maybe GoldenEye. Like, I never played it growing up, but I just want to see what the hype is all about.
Yeah, so that game, I think everyone should play it at least once because it will make you appreciate what it did and what it did for gaming. And I think it's really cool to have for that. Like I was lucky that my girlfriend's brother never threw anything away on his N64, so I borrowed his copy. But yeah, it's one of those games that's becoming harder and harder to find, or at least for the right price, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking to pick it up for like, I don't know, at the most 40 bucks, 50 bucks.
Hmm.
I'm I'm not gonna spend like 70, 80 bucks on it, but besides that, probably I know it may sound weird, but the Tony Hawk games. See, like when I played the Tony Hawk games back in the day, it was either the it was either the PS1 or the PS2. But I just heard like the Tony Hawk games on the N64 are so bad, I might as well, check it out.
So I played all three on the N64.
Oh,
Yeah, so I played 1, 2, and 3 on the N64. I think 3 was actually the final game released for the N64, which shows you just how, I mean, it shows you how much compromise they probably had to have to put that game, which showed up on Xbox and PS2 and GameCube, like how much they had to compromise to get it on the cartridge. They're not terrible, like they're not unplayable or anything. There's better ways to play them, but they're not that bad. The thing that's lacking the most is probably the music because they couldn't fit obviously CD quality audio like they could on the PS1 and the game and the systems that came after. But that's to me the one thing that really is lacking. It's the music, and I don't know. Tony Hawk is so well known for music that when you only have snippets of songs, it does kind of take the experience out.
Yeah, and I feel like when I bite though, I feel like I'm just gonna bite in like one big chunk. Just get
Hmm.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3, just all in one day. Cause well, I mean, first of all, like why the fuck not? And plus, they're not gonna be too expensive anyway.
Yeah, with with a reputation like that, they're going to be pretty cheap to find.
Yeah,
But yeah. But yeah, so besides Beetle Adventure Racing and Rocket Robot on Wheels, oh, there was one that I thought of that I am now just forgetting about. I've I've like slowly been getting back into the old like the old WWE, WCW games, like the wrestling games,
hmm
and there were so many in such a short period of time that it's just really funny to see how much they evolved and changed just like one release apart because there were so many. There's also so many good ones and so many awful ones, you know?
yeah,
So those are fun to like go back and look at.
yeah. Actually though, speaking of N64, have you ever played or collected any games for the PS1?
The PS1, not really. I don't know why. I think my friend my so I guess I should rephrase. So I would go visit a friend when I was at a sleepaway camp, and he had a PS1, and he only had terrible games, like like budget versions of full games, like knockoff cheap versions of the games you actually wanted to play. So I guess growing up, I always kind of associated the PS1 with bad games, which I know isn't true at all now that I'm
Act-
like
Actually,
25.
I could actually kind of relate to that. Like, you remember when the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were at fucking war? Like when, just like when both video game companies were against each other. When the
Hmm.
Xbox 360 dropped and the PS3, like
Hmm.
I always thought the same thing about the PS3. You know, like back in the day, I always had an Xbox 360, but the PS3, I just thought, oh, okay, it's just boring, shitty ass games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it took a long time for Sony to kind of get out of that. So like it's kind of like a thing where every time a company releases their third video game system, it's always a disaster. Like
Yeah,
the Xbox One's not doing well, the PS3 didn't do well. The Wii U was the sixth console for Nintendo, which didn't do well at all. So like it took forever for Sony to get out of that rut, especially because they made the system so hard to make games for. Like I tried to play the the PS3 version of Skyrim for the first time, and it is unplayable. It is unplayable. It's so broken, and I think a lot of people just associate the PS3 with that because it had so many bad ports. And it had good ports too, but it just the big ones just never worked out.
yeah, and I mean, it's weird. Like now that I'm into this retro gaming shit now, I still really don't want to pick it up. You know what I mean? It's just like
Mhm.
I still have my old Xbox 360, but I just don't really want to pick up I just don't really want to pick up a PS3 because in my mind I'm still thinking, you know, it's still a horrible system. You know, it's hard to emulate all this.
Oh yeah.
And
Hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, back in the day, like people were going at each other. Like people were making like diss songs about it. People were making fun of each other for having a PS3.
Yeah, and what's funny is I started as an Xbox 360 person. I got mine launch week. I was just really lucky to find one. There was one left at Toys R Us uh, when I was a kid, and my grandma took me to go get it. And so I started out on Xbox 360, and my dad, like that was around the time HD DVD and Blu-ray were like having their fight too. And my dad was like, "Well, I want to get a Blu-ray player," and I was like, "Okay, sure, like that'd be cool." And I come home and he's got a PS3, and he's just like, this was the cheapest Blu-ray player. So my dad ended up buying a PS3, and that's how I ended up getting a PS3.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like I know the PS3 probably isn't a bad system, but it's just I don't know why. Like
Hmm.
I know console wars are kind of stupid, but it kind of makes sense. Like you got the two top dogs going after each other. It just makes sense. You
Yeah,
had
it's hard not to pick a side, you know?
yeah, and I mean, shit. Back then, I probably like felt bad for like the Wii people, even though I had one back in the day.
Yeah, I had a Wii as well. I remember the insanity of trying to get a Wii. Like you had to stand in
Oh yeah, I
line and get
remember
a
that.
voucher at Best Buy, and then you only had like a limited amount of time to like make your purchases, so you just had to scramble to figure out what games you were gonna get and if you were gonna get a second nunchuck or a second controller or whatever. And it was chaos.
It
And I
was.
I almost miss that, like the insanity of trying to get something. Like now it's so easy with like online shopping. And this goes back to one of the episodes I listened to about how Toys R Us is gone and how like Amazon's just like eating up everything. And I don't know, I just miss the hecticness and I miss midnight releases when they were actually at midnight, you know.
Oh man, do you remember the GTA 5 midnight release?
I worked it. I used to work at GameStop and that was not a fun time. That was a rough time. We had somebody come in and like basically try to like start a riot in the store. It was insane. We had to call the police and my manager wasn't there. And so while I love that game, I will never forget the absolute chaos of
Oh,
people trying to get their copies.
dude, I was standing in that line at midnight, and the dude that got his first copy just ran to his car and did burnouts in a fucking parking lot.
That's awesome. I think somebody tried to do something similar but ended up getting like a ticket because there was like a police officer nearby. It's crazy how big those releases still are. Like I feel like there's
Yeah.
never gonna be anything as big as Rockstar releases now.
Well, I mean, I don't know, like Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, that is probably gonna be pretty big. I totally forgot about that. That comes out soon. I'm excited for that. Well, it just got
Actually,
delayed.
no, yeah, man, they just delayed that shit till September, and I mean, I'm mad. I'm mad, but I just want them to be polished as possible.
Hmm.
Like if they would have released it in I don't know April and it would have been a piece of shit, then yeah, everybody would have been mad. Everybody would have caused riots or whatever. So I'm mad, but I'm just gonna let them polish it and wait till September.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the game. I know that they know what they're doing, and they would only delay it if they knew they needed to, so they can take as much time as they want, in my eyes. So,
Yeah, I mean, still though, like nothing is gonna be as big as as Grand Theft Auto 5 though. Like, just remembering the anticipation, like 100 days left, 50 days left, 10 days left, and then just that last day. Like, I couldn't even go to school because I was so fucking hyped.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I skipped school that day to play. And I got the since I worked at GameStop, I got to place all the pre-orders first, so I got the special edition one that came with the blueprint map that if you like hold a black light up to it, you see a bunch of secrets. Like that was such a cool release. The steelbook was awesome.
Yeah,
It's just that game was so big at the time. I'm
yeah.
oops, sorry. What?
No, no, no. Go ahead.
So like we're recording this right after the news that Dan Houser's leaving Rockstar, and that kind of bums me out, because he is such a mastermind behind these projects, and obviously
Exactly.
teams of people work on this for years to make it happen, but like he was one of the writers of it, like to me that's like losing an arm. Like,
Right. Like all the good games were like name by name.
yeah. it makes me feel like a little bit concerned about what happens to GTA 6 and like even going farther.
Exactly, because see, you talk about the hype of GTA 5. Again, I loved it. GTA Online at the beginning, it was great. It was good. But then when they started adding shark cards and all these DLCs, and they started turning GTA 5 into Saints Row. That's when I lost it. And I'm kind of, I mean, the story for GTA 6 is gonna be amazing, but the online, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I was really disappointed when they basically scrapped all the single player DLC, which I was really looking forward to because I loved the single player of GTA 5. And when I heard that was going away just to basically focus entirely online, I was really annoyed because I was like I'd happily pay $20 for another expansion that will give me something like the Lost and Damned on GTA 4 or Ballad of Gay Tony. Like those were really well thought out pieces, and I'd rather have more to do in the single player that's really thought out and adds a big part of the experience than pay $20 to get one car online.
Exactly, and I feel like the story DLC could have been really good. Like, there's still a lot of plot holes, like what happened to Grove Street, CJ, Franklin. They could have answered all that.
Yeah, and I think the guy who voiced Franklin, he kind of made a hint that his cousin, who was the voice of CJ, was going to return for the story DLC, and it just never came to pass.
And I mean, it's fucked up, but we can't really do anything.
Yeah.
It's just like I just imagine when GTA 6 drops and it's this big thing, we're gonna find beta cutscenes and beta this for GTA 5, and
Hmm.
then just a bunch of answers are just still gonna go unanswered.
Yeah, I hope we do. I really hope we do.
All right, man. I'm sorry to end this on like a sad note, but um, again, check out Under 10 Hours YouTube channel. He's a really dope content creator. If you like nostalgia stuff like I do, go check him out.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And like, if we ended on a bummer, I don't feel like it because this was fun.
It
Like,
was.
it was fun. I'm glad we like had this conversation because it took me down a trip. It took me on a trip down memory lane, and that's all. That's like the best kind of conversation, you know?
Yeah. I guess check out my Discord, check out my Twitch, and yeah. Uh, Under 10 hours. You want to say anything else?
Uh, nope. Just thanks for having me, and looking forward to communicating down the line.
All right, man. See you guys later.
All right, see you.